We always do. Whenever I come on the show, we do a lot of asides, and that's
There are a lot of asides. Hey, Thanksgiving is all about the asides.
Stupid joke.
Come on,
Bad.
that was a good one. That was good.
There's your cold
Bad,
open.
Daniel.
That was good.
Damn it.
Welcome to Drafted. I'm your host, Daniel Prentice, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Preston Thompson. Preston, how are you doing? What are you drinking tonight, my friend?
I'm doing so good, Dan. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the show. This is the longest amount of time we've spent waiting to record from our set record day. I'm not as thankful for that, but it's okay. I'm just thankful to be here and have my health. My energy's dragging like crazy. I don't know why. So I reached for a little mini can of Dr. Pepper.
Oh.
And that's what I'm going to go with for the rest of the night, and hopefully it will power me through.
Well, you know what they say, nothing gets the engines going quite like a nice, refreshing Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, how many flavors? 50?
23.
23. Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors.
This is a sponsorship pitch?
That's what it would sound like if we were sponsored by Dr. Pepper.
A doctor a day keeps the doctor away.
How? Yeah, that should be a thing. They probably legally can't do something like that
legally
anymore,
can't say that it's good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because it's not. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So no booze for you on this Sunday evening, Preston?
No booze for me. It's going to be a very challenging week, the week before Thanksgiving, and my job is always really, really hard, and I've been sort of stressing about it starting, so I'm just going to try and take it easy and get a good night's sleep, which Dr. Pepper's also not going to help with. So
I was really hoping you're going to be drinking a hot toddy tonight, because it just at least where I am, it's hot toddy weather. Very much
it is hot toddy weather. You're so right.
Yeah,
maybe I'll make one during a break, or when this program inevitably crashes and we have to start over.
Sounds good. Keith, our guest, Keith Raynor, kind of like, very much in our inner family of tight, extended drafted family, which feels appropriate because a lot of us will be spending time with extended family here for the holiday. Keith, thanks so much for coming on the program. Are you drinking anything this evening, and how are you doing, my friend? We haven't had you on in a little bit, so we need to catch up.
I want to start with what I'm drinking because I'm also living the mini can life.
What the hell? Ooh, Canada Dry, eh?
Zero sugar Canada Dry. Zero sugar or diet ginger ale has become like the go-to soda for me and my wife. It's like a perfect sweet spot for the two of us.
Hang on. So I really am not a soda drinker these days. Now I will absolutely just guzzle like a fruit punch or pink lemonade or lemonade or anything like that. Like actual proper soda, I don't really drink, but there is a ginger ale variant that I have in my fridge right now. It is the ginger ale cranberry. Have you had that, Keith?
Yeah, I've had cranberry ginger ale at points in my life. It's quite delicious.
It's so good. It just tastes like a Shirley Temple.
Yeah.
But like without being like as cloyingly sweet as a Shirley Temple. But it's just like a perfect, like November to December kind of soda, if that's your thing.
I got hooked on ginger ale when I worked at a burger restaurant in Atlanta that no longer exists, I think, called Yeah Burger. They used to have a brand of like organic soda. I think it was Dr. Roots was the name of it. But that ginger ale was just so good. So working there, I was just like constantly drinking this ginger ale, and I was like, "Oh, this is terrible for me. I have to like work out more." But I mean, the ginger ale part really stuck with me. So it's a great soda.
Did you guys grow up with the whole thing like when you have an upset stomach, drink ginger ale?
Yes.
It'll make your body feel better.
Ginger ale and crackers.
Are you about to tell me it's a lie?
No, I don't know. Is there any validity to that? That was going to be my question.
Ginger is noted to help with nausea for sure. But the problem is probably that it is cut by so much other stuff.
So much.
Yeah, how much ginger is really in a ginger ale?
Yeah, but we have like ginger tea in this house. And when one of us is feeling nauseous, ginger tea helps quite a lot.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not drinking a ginger item, tea or soda. I am drinking a very fall beverage, though. I'm drinking some hot apple cider with a splash of whiskey in there.
Yeah, you are,
it
buddy.
Just is, yeah, and I really wish I was using my friggin' Nerds mug, but I drank hot chocolate out of that last night because it's that time of year, boys.
It's indulgence season.
It is hot chocolate season.
Well, you crushed it, baby.
I started to say hot Todd. I was like hot toddy and hot chocolate blended together, which would not be good. I don't think.
No, a Todd chocolate,
Todd chocolate,
Jesus.
Todd Shockley plays tight end for the Giants.
Oh, that was a narrowcast joke.
There's a subsection of the audience that really picks up on that.
Yeah, 100%. I don't believe, Preston, that we are drafting drinks or football players tonight. What are we drafting this fall special, this Thanksgiving special?
Well, we're drafting something here that I'm only just now worried might be the last Thanksgiving draft we do because it covers too much territory. we are building.
We are scraping the bottom of the barrel here. We reached out to the Discord for ideas. We've already skipped one Thanksgiving episode. I think it was 2 years ago. We just didn't do one. Like we just went straight from Halloween. There's only so much you can do with Thanksgiving. It's like it's the most overlooked holiday.
Yeah. Well, next Thanksgiving you could draft terrible ways to lead into your podcast, and this topic is the worst topic we could possibly come up with.
No.
Should be on the list.
Listen, I think it's a good draft. It's a good idea, but I'm just saying we're running out of good ideas. You know,
the problem is it's like to hold true to the metaphor. We're not scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're using the barrel. So there will be no more barrel after this is over.
This is what I'm saying. The barrel was completely full of good ideas. Mm-hmm. But now we're getting into the very end of them, so we're scraping the bottom of the brilliant ideas barrel. Could
this be like the last slice of cake? Like it's like we're out of cake after this, but it's still a good thing.
It's still good,
and it's like it's been on the counter for about a week, so it's not as good as it was a week ago. But you know, it's still a good cake.
Wow. All my favorite forms of media begin with us trying to convince people how good it is.
We're negging ourselves so that...
Welcome to the new season of The White Lotus. Thanks so much for watching. We promise that this one is really great. Bad. We worked so hard on it.
We're trying to undersell so that expectations are low, and then people will be happy with it.
I did watch actually...
Deliver, baby.
I watched... Top Gun Maverick again last night, and Tom Cruise does come on at the beginning of that movie to say thanks so much for watching my movie. And it is just a very nice thing. He does it for the movie theater version, and then whatever version I got, it's also in there on like Vudu or whatever.
Oh, you mean in the movie?
So he doesn't like watch that movie.
He doesn't like emerge from the shadows like behind you.
I mean, he did when it came out. He definitely appeared in
you specifically. Yes. I want to thank you for watching.
He rose up from behind my couch and gently tapped me on the shoulder. And said, thank you for watching my movie again.
It's not like it's like, you know,
I think it was a COVID
passion
thing.
Project art piece.
I think it was a COVID thing that it was like a thanks so much for coming back to a movie theater, because we know that movie theaters are not really a thing that makes sense anymore. So thanks so much for just clinging to the past by coming to see my movie.
Daniel, you've got to be the first person I've heard call Tom Cruise weird. I mean, we're treading on
such a normal guy
here.
Yeah, I don't know what you're seeing.
You know what? There's got to be a Tom Cruise draft in our future, right? We've not touched that realm.
That's true. We definitely could dip into that.
I'll write it down so I don't forget it for next year.
Okay, but for tonight, we are building the perfect Thanksgiving day. We should throw Tom Cruise into one of these categories.
Yes.
This is a Draftegories format here. I really liked the change we made last time where we have 4 choices per category. It keeps the back half of the draft interesting. We've done that again here. If you are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to follow along with the list here. But don't worry, listeners. We'll keep you informed and engaged. But I think this is going to be a good one. Like I said, it covers the entire territory. So there's like so many places where this Thanksgiving Day can go oh so right and oh so wrong.
Is it too late to add a celebrity cameo category? Like, is it if you want to squeeze Tom Cruise in?
We could do it under table mates. Like, what if Tom Cruise was your table mate, and it like he happened to be a third cousin?
It's only Tom Cruise though at the table with you, no one else.
Different Tom Cruise characters. How about?
I think weirdly I'd be pretty low on actually Tom Cruise as a solo table mate. Yeah. I would be a little concerned about that.
It would be weird.
Ethan Hunt I'd have a great time with. Yeah.
Really? That's your go-to?
So. Ethan Hunt, yeah.
Shout out Alex R in the Discord for the suggestion of this as our Thanksgiving draft. Very, very much appreciated. We hope you all enjoy it. There were some other good ideas in there as well, but this one felt the one that was most easily fully fleshed out in a way that makes sense. our draft order this evening. Keith, our guest, will have the first pick. Preston will have pick number 2. Myself, I will have pick number 3. Of course, as always, snake style draft, so reverse order on even rounds, and also, of course, as always, that style or that order determined by the best website in the world, random.org. So there's not much really to get out of the way here, I don't think, since it's a Draftegories draft. So Keith, why don't you hit us with the first pick of the best Thanksgiving Day draft?
And so just to give you the lay of the land here, this is my first Draftegories, I think, actually.
Oh, really?
Show that
is that true?
On, I think
that's crazy. We've had you on so often, and we've done so many drafts.
So I can pick from any category, or do I need to pick in some sort of order?
No, any category, and then obviously you can only pick one thing from each category. But yeah, any category you can start with.
I do. I have been around long enough to know that the first pick is a gift and a curse, because obviously you got the whole board in front of you, but expectations are high. So it is really easy for people to give you a hard time. Like, you totally ruined your draft basically from the jump.
Yeah.
So I know that this is an important decision to make. And
I'm stalling. It's going to be fine.
I'm kind of down to 2 options as far as like which one I want to start with. And so basically I'm trying to look at which is the worst second option, because I don't want to end up with
good strategy. Yeah.
I think I have to go location here first.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm going to go with traditional nostalgic family spot.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that as my first overall pick. I think this is just like a defining characteristic of Thanksgiving. Like, you can have a good Thanksgiving in some of these other locations. I don't think that it would completely starve, but it wouldn't feel quite like Thanksgiving. Like, it would be some other thing. So to me, this feels like the most like, this is the thing that's going to define most people's Thanksgiving experience. So I'm going to start here, so that I can truly have a Thanksgiving experience and let everybody else try and play catch up on that element.
Yeah, this is a great pick, I think. Would you do the same thing, Preston, if you had the 101? I think I would.
Yes, I was gonna take it on the next pick. So I think Keith has accomplished his mission here. I do think what's different about this category is like, that is very clearly the best option. 2, 3, and 4, there are arguments to be made. There's not a clear number 2 here either. So I think it's possible there is a gap of time here before we re-dip into that well. But it is the absolute 101. Like, what differentiates Thanksgiving from just a gathering? And like, this is like the principal thing, right? Like for many families, myself included, you go to the same place every year. So if everybody got together at a restaurant on Thanksgiving night, just wouldn't feel the same.
Yeah, it would be weird. I mean, it's that and the food, right? Like I think most people eat Thanksgiving food one time a year, and it's at Thanksgiving, obviously. So yeah, those are the 2 things that make Thanksgiving really. All right, so Preston, you've got pick number 2. I feel like I'm in a disastrous spot for this draft. I'm not going to lie to you boys. I'm panicking already, and it's not even my pick yet.
Well, I think you and I actually disagree a lot every time we do a Thanksgiving show.
Do we?
We seem to clash pretty frequently, I think.
We just have... this is not surprising. I don't really remember that specifically, but we just have such different like food opinions.
Yeah.
And also, I think just have very different like familial dynamics in terms of traditions and stuff. So, that's kind of the 2 things that are going on in this draft. So
use more words, and keep in mind, I'm gonna play this episode out loud during Thanksgiving dinner. So talk to me some more about my familial dynamics. Let me know. Well,
I'm not gonna get into specifics. I'm just saying all I'm saying is you took 4 Christmases in your Christmas movie draft. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I think it's underrated. I would like to go back to that episode and try and think about what else was on the board back then, but I think it's pretty good. Like, I think it's fine. There's something in there for
That's everybody. What I'm saying. We're just very different when it comes to these things.
I mean, I didn't take it over It's a Wonderful Life, that is for sure. Okay. My eyes are only drawn to one place here. I gotta do what I gotta do. I'm going meal style. I'm doing homemade sides and store-bought pre-made turkey. Here's the thing about turkey, ladies and gents. Very high floor, very low ceiling. I think it is very difficult to bite into a turkey and be like, oh, this is different. Like, this turkey was prepared very differently than all the other turkeys. They're all like, if you prepare them well, they're all relatively close together compared to other culinary options. So the real differentiator here is the sides. And as we said, like, there are two defining characteristics of Thanksgiving. You're in that same house that you maybe grew up in or that you've always gone to, and you've got the right food options. And I'm trying to stick to my guns here with the right food options. And I think a store-bought pre-cooked turkey is a very easy thing to sort of compensate for. You get a good gravy in there, and I don't think anybody's going to really be able to tell.
Well, how are you going to get a good gravy if you didn't make the turkey?
That's fair. Very good point. I forgot where gravy came from. But like, I think the actual thing you sort of lose here, if I can like argue against myself for a second, is not really the great, fantastic turkey. It's sort of like the act of that particular person in your family making that turkey. Like, that's what you're losing from that event. Like, my uncle spending all of his life energy and forces on 3 different kinds of turkey is like part of the experience. So it's not really the end product that I'm missing. It would be more of that, of like watching him try and deep fry a turkey without killing anybody. So that I would miss a little bit.
Does your family usually have a deep fried turkey?
He does literally like a deep fried and a
Roast.
basted and in the oven, roasted, whatever. Yeah. Both of them are very good and very different.
Keith, do you have opinions on this? Because I am surprised by this pick. I don't think on paper it's even the top choice in this category.
Wow.
So I don't think that there's anything wrong with this pick. I would say it's the best one in this category purely because I think that we're kind of going for a traditional thing here. So I think this is what voters would gravitate towards. I think definitely getting the homemade sides. The sides are clearly the best part of the meal. So like getting homemade sides is going to get you a lot of the way there. And I don't say this often, but Preston with a dead on take that turkey is a low ceiling.
Wow.
Yeah, it's protein. It's just like, unless it's like truly somebody incredible behind it, like it's not gonna be that
boys. We got to get you boys at Apprentice Family Thanksgiving.
No, listen, it's very good. But here's the thing.
I'm sure you think it's the same as most turkeys, bro. Sorry.
Think about this. Think about this. The fact that you can take the leftover turkey, throw it onto a sandwich the next day, and have like a really wonderful experience, I think speaks to a lot of like, oh, that meat is now like an entire day old and it's cold and it's reheated and it's still about the same. Like, I just don't see it as like the same sort of culinary width of opportunity that I would see with other foods. It's just sort of the same every time.
Now, I do want to say though, so while I do think this is the best option because of the tradition, I think that these other options are actually pretty manageable. So I don't know how much better it is than the other ones, but I do think it's the best one in this category, and it has the tradition factor that the other ones won't. So I'm not sure if I would have gone there as my next pick, but I was definitely thinking about it. So I'm not going to call you.
Wow. I didn't realize you guys were turkey haters.
It's very good. I think I'm probably spoiled because it's cooked pretty correctly at every Thanksgiving I've ever been to. No time has anybody ever like truly botched one, but I don't even know what that would look like. Like it's really like dry. A little more dry, I guess. But like,
you put
again, my Thanksgiving plate is so little turkey. It's like maybe like 2 pieces, 2 like wide pieces on top of each other, and then everything else is the thing that's making it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm just bringing bad context into store bought, but I feel like there would be a big discrepancy between my turkeys that I usually have for Thanksgiving and what I'm envisioning a store-bought one would be, but it seems I'm in the minority there. All right. Where do I want to go here? I think I have to go. Well, all right. Here's one of the locations, okay? I need some context here for one of these locations, Preston, as the Draftegories draft master.
Sure.
One of the options is grandma's house, she's a hoarder.
Yep.
Can I get an elaboration? To what extent is she hoarding?
I mean, the house was not made ready for the amount of people that were about to show up.
Okay.
So there might be limited places to sit. Like definitely some of the seats are going to be like a fold-out table with 4 different kinds of chairs, like that kind of thing, which isn't bad. Like that's part of Thanksgiving charm, but like that's sort of what I'm envisioning here.
We're not talking like Hoarders TV show. Like this is elite. This is
like you can't even navigate to the kitchen. No.
But it's going to be it's going to be uncomfortable for everyone to be there.
Yeah, it's going to feel a little tight, but we all have to be there because what are we going to do? Make grandma go somewhere else? Yeah, it's one of those for sure. There's not really like a modern television anywhere. Okay. So like getting the football game, somebody's going to have to stand behind it with the rabbit ears. It could be like challenging.
Okay. In that case, I will go for location, and I will take a splurgy getaway destination within the contiguous U.S. So we're not going anywhere, crazy, exotic, or anything like that. The American Thanksgiving, very much an American holiday, so I do feel like spending it internationally would be weird anyway. But like cool mountain house or a beach house, something like that is what I'm envisioning here. That has plenty of room for all of us, and is like a nice spot.
So there's pros and cons here. The big pro I think you get is, I don't know, like how big is your Thanksgiving group, Dan? Like how many people, when you envision a Thanksgiving dinner, like how many people are there in any given year?
Like 6 to 8 usually.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So when you were talking about we have different experiences, that is, yeah. Okay. Makes sense. But the good thing here for you is that nobody is really hosting. So like when I go to Thanksgiving, like the host family, which is my aunt and uncle, they're working a little bit overtime. It's probably more difficult for them to relax and enjoy everything in the same way because it's like at their house and they're putting everything together, even though people brought stuff. If you're doing this, then everybody seemingly gets to each chip in a little bit, and that's great.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the context of this is it's not like an extravagant vacation, but it's just a nice like getaway. You don't have to worry about cramming into someone's kitchen that isn't really equipped for cooking for that many people. It's all taken care of.
But you do allow for opportunity to be in an unfamiliar kitchen and be like, oh, nobody really understands how this stove or oven works.
Yeah, because I'm anticipating like a newly renovated place that's state of the art kitchen and everything.
It does say splurgy.
Has all the works.
It says splurgy. I mean, I'm picturing something with a view, and
for sure.
It's hard to think that a meal gathering for a meal is not going to be enhanced by some beautiful vista or whatnot.
Yeah, and my vision is somewhere in the mountains, probably where we might get a little bit of snow outside.
Right. But I can picture doing something like you don't have to go alpine. Like I can picture you're overlooking like Pacific Northwest Sound, or even I could see something beachy. Like if the food's right, I could see the totally off kilter vibe, which I think we're gonna get to again in some other categories.
Oh, yeah, Thanksgiving on the beach sounds wild. But
I mean, I will say in like Florida, it's like I definitely have friends that their tradition is to go to the beach for Thanksgiving.
Okay,
like I've had Thanksgivings where it's like 80 degrees outside, so. It's not
fair.
It's not that weird.
Yeah, that's not concerning at all.
Okay, where do I go with my second pick now? That's the tricky one. I could just fully lean into the it's not our kitchen, and therefore we're not going to cook the food and hire and like fully make it an extravagance and get a hired in chef to cook all the food. Would that be crazy to do? I think not, honestly. I'm gonna lean in here. I'm gonna lean into what I'm building, which is a once in a lifetime Thanksgiving. We're not doing this every year. We're just doing this one time. So we're getting the sweet spot, and we're gonna have, even if it's not grandma's green bean casserole or what have you, we can always have that next year. We have it every single year. This year, we're going to have, Chef Big Time.
Chef Boyardee.
Chef Boyardee.
You got the actual Chef Boyardee. What a get.
Yeah, we're not doing Chef Boyardee, but I am going to get a professional chef. And this is going to relieve so much pressure and tension as well. Like, for the people who cook Thanksgiving, it's so much work. It's vacation for everybody now. There isn't that dynamic anymore. We all just get to enjoy our company because we're about to have the best Thanksgiving meal we've ever had.
You've really neutralized the negatives of these two picks by taking them together.
Yeah.
Because like the hired in chef, I was thinking the negative is it's just a remarkably like impersonal touch for a family holiday, it feels very cold. But you're
Yeah.
already getting some of that by going to somebody else's house or some sort of, third party getaway destination here that like, I feel like it kind of makes sense actually now.
Mm-hmm.
Like in your mind, the house almost came with the chef. Like he might live there.
Yeah.
And that starts to make a little bit more sense. Having him come into like the traditional nostalgic family spot was more
weird.
what I was envisioning when I was thinking, oh, that's going to be a bad pick actually.
When my wife and I went on our honeymoon, we went to Italy, and like you could basically like pay to just go to someone's house and they make you dinner. So like it is like you go to the chef's house and the chef cooks you their homemade meal or whatever. And I was like, this is a crazy idea. Like it feels a little too weird to me to actually do it, but there's also something kind of cool about it. We did not do it. But it is a thing that I guess we went to a winery, which was like the person lived there and they also made us lunch. So maybe that's kind of like it. We're at their house, at their place, and their dog is running around or whatever. Like, so maybe that's kind of it.
That's cool.
Is it like an app deal? Like how does it work?
Yeah. How do you find the people where you're going to go into their home?
Yeah, it was like a website, like where they were, people were like, hey, you can come reserve a spot at our place, I guess.
But like, would they were all chefs? They weren't just like average
people? I don't know the nature of exactly the cooking experience of all the people involved. I think that some were probably more home cooks, but just looking to pick up a little extra money. I think that this pick has high potential for its position in this draft based on how well you can sell it. So I do think Daniel landed on a great way to pitch it, putting it together with this. I mean, who would turn down having great food, right? Like who's going to be like, oh, I wish the food were less good because that's what we're used to. There are people who would do that. Those are probably people who like get their steaks well done. But, most people are going to be like, I would love for a great cook to cook my food, especially if they're like, the chef could be in your kitchen, right? Then it feels a little homey. I don't know. It's, I do think there's a chance that this could be a big winner for you to have this pick.
I'm hoping so.
Dan, do you think if you have a crowd of, you said 6 to 8 usually, we'll call it 7. If you have a crowd of 7 in a house like this, regular style home, not really designed for something, just a regular house that you've rented in Asheville or Shenandoah or whatever, is your family going to feel inclined to make the chef feel like more part of the experience than they actually want to be?
Than the chef wants to be? What are you insinuating? Why wouldn't the chef want to be part of
I'm
our
insinuating
experience?
something that I think my family would do, which is essentially while the chef is cooking, the family does like a big toast of like, we're just so thankful. And they're like, no, come on. And it's like very uncomfortable because like nobody knows who this guy is. And like, we're just so happy that so-and-so have their first baby now. And it's great. And he's just sort of like, guys, I have so much to do. So like, I don't know. It's the kitchen seems like in most houses, like very present. It feels like he's going to be part of the experience. I don't know. I don't think my family would handle this well. That's what I'm saying.
I can't even relate to where you're coming from on this, to be honest. Keith, is this like resonating with you?
A little bit. I mean, inviting a stranger into your Thanksgiving comes with the potential pitfalls of how you interact with them.
I just feel like my family would be very good at that.
A piece of kitchen equipment, or are they now part of the family and they're enjoying Thanksgiving with you? Like,
well, but
that tension is very challenging.
I get what he's getting at, but I think that it would take like your own screw ups to make it that bad.
We're so good at that.
You have to run bad, so to speak, in order to end up in awkward.
I'm also, I think, confused by the framing that like Preston seems to think that the weirder thing is to like be nice to the person making your food.
No, it's not be nice. It's not be nice. It's sort of just like now Thanksgiving dinner where we only see each other X amount of times per year is about like learning about where this guy's from and like who are his kids? Like where do they go?
I think that would be kind of cool.
I think it would be cool in your family of 6, 7, and 8. Like I think my family would not handle it.
There's
well.
20 people, maybe not.
We average 26 to 30 per Thanksgiving. So that's
I hate to redirect us from making fun of Preston, which I know is like 48% of the
pastime
show.
Of the show. Yeah.
But I think the downside, I do want to point out that the downside right now is who's footing the bill when is this is an expensive trip.
This is a good point. This didn't suddenly become free.
Yeah. Did someone die?
I mean,
is there a big will?
There's no money item on the draft. So
I'm just saying.
I mean, this is getting split. It's gonna be tough. This is getting split 6, 7, 8 ways. Something like that.
Nothing brings out family drama faster than money.
When we did the baseball game draft, we didn't say, "Oh, well, these tickets are 15 times more expensive than the nosebleeds." So yeah, you're going into debt for this experience. By the way, it's not a part of it. It's ridiculous. Preston, you are up though. It is your pick here.
Well, Keith makes a good point. All right.
Okay. Ridiculous.
Okay. A couple different ways I could go here, but I think I'm going to stick as Daniel did. He tried to develop a coherent theme, coherent mission. I'm going to do the same, which is just let's get the best possible food on the table here. And I'm going into dessert, and I'm taking the classic homemade pie options. This is important for me because there are a lot of pies that I don't love, but if there's lots of different options, I'm certainly going to find something that I like.
What's your go-to pie?
Pecan.
Okay.
I don't even remember who makes it for our Thanksgiving because there's too many people that show up. But some cousin I know is bringing a crazy pecan pie every year. It's so good. And like my brother and I are like the only ones who like it. We're clearly like the only reason anybody's still making it, but it's so good. So good every time. And I don't really like pumpkin pie or anything else. I don't know who makes it. I'll find out this year though. I will report back.
You better.
I'll post it in the Discord. But yeah, right now I just feel like I have the best food options, which I feel like, it's all downhill in the good downhill way. Yeah. like running, I'm running downhill.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's all a decline from here.
Yeah. It is one of my favorite phrases because it's the only one that I can think of that means two things that are polar opposites of each other.
Depending on the delivery. Yeah.
Depending on the context and the delivery. Yeah.
Yeah. I also really hate, I don't know why this is making me think of this, but like, would you mind if I sit here? Sure.
Yeah.
I find it just
people ignore
weird,
the mind.
Yeah.
Mind.
Very strange in the English language. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you mind if I sit here? Yeah.
I think the right answer is go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sure,
in common parlance, obviously you can say like I don't mind. Sure, sit here.
Yeah. But yeah, and that question, it's to be sure go ahead.
Or mine's gonna be, do you mind if I sit here? And it's gonna be, I don't know how to answer that question.
or you could say like, no, of course not, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anything
that a normal human would say, and not someone that struggles with social interactions like I do.
Just like you do. Yep. Same
enjoy your meal.
Man.
Yeah,
man,
you too. Fuck.
I U2'd at lunch today. I went and got lunch. Dan. And I just why would the guy say enjoy your meal? Like I thought he was to say enjoy your day or have a nice day or you know what it was? He said have a nice meal. So I start my response as soon as he says have a nice. Who says have a nice meal? Yeah. He's saying have a nice day, and I've already started my response before he even says meal. And then
he hit you with the verbal crossover. He
did. It was brutal. It was brutal. I made a comment about it. I even made a comment. I was like, "Oh man, you didn't say have a nice day. You said have a nice meal." Now I feel weird. And
I'm sure that made it better. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it did too. All right, Keith. It's finally your pick again. This is another thing we don't talk about, like saying how important to get the first pick is. It's such a long wait for your second and third picks.
It's true.
Totally.
The time has come now.
All right. Well, I like Preston, I will break new ground and hit a new category here. And I'm hoping this isn't a little too like my personal perspective specific, but I guess we'll find out. I'm going to go to the table mates category, and I'm taking the cousins. In both my family and my wife's family, my generation is connected by the cousins. That like those are the people we hang out with. Those are the friends. Like if we were going to hang out with somebody from the family, it would almost always be the cousins. And I think that there's some real like landmines in this category that I don't want to get. And I could see you making an argument for any of the other three categories being in the. So to me, cousins just far and away the best option in the table mates category. So
this one is tricky. Cousins. I think it's so family specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is such a uniquely experience driven.
I think by default, people are probably to say, yeah, cousins is best because at the very least, they're people that are my age.
Right.
You know? So we at least probably grew up together and have some things in common that way. But some people might have really cool aunts and uncles. You know, like maybe the cool people reside in the aunt and uncle category. This is a tough one to like be good for everybody who's listening to the show, I think.
I also feel like if Thanksgiving's an entire day for your family, I'm definitely getting a lot of love and interaction with the cousins throughout all the points of the day. And the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents, they're sort of like all around each other the rest of the time, which is great. Yeah. But it's almost like for dinner specifically, it would be great to shuffle it up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, as I said, this is a hard one for me really to relate to because most of my Thanksgivings are pretty small. So we are all at the same table. I can't really remember many Thanksgivings at all where I was at a specific table away from, the group at large. I know that's like a big part of a lot of people's Thanksgivings, but
Keith, we haven't talked about how big yours are.
My Thanksgivings? Not
anything else, just that.
I didn't know if you meant my family. Like you were asking, like how large.
Oh no, I got you. Yeah, typical Thanksgiving.
When I have Thanksgiving with my family, like as in my own actual birth parents, it's pretty small. Like it's usually just our immediate family and spouses. So like 7. Although now we have 2 kids, so I guess it's not up to 9 or so. Mm-hmm. And then my wife's family though has a big family gathering with all the cousins and aunts and uncles. So that's like 20, 25, something in that area. And so when we're up here and we go there, that's which is what we're doing this year. Much bigger group.
I similarly get like one of each. Usually every year I'm able to do both, where we do actual Thanksgiving Day is 28, something like that. And then the Saturday afterwards with Lauren's family is like 6. It's very nice that way. Because my battery is on empty by the time I get to the other one. I am unable to do a large gathering like that.
28 sounds genuinely awful.
I mean,
for me, like
yeah,
my
it's not what I would call relaxing.
Right.
It's not a relaxing Thanksgiving, but it is incredibly fun. It is very draining, but it's very much like a amusement park thing. There's so many different people to you have to catch up with that you haven't seen in a while. And there's so many different little groups forming, and now that all the cousins are of a certain age and all of my cousins have gotten into games and stuff. There's so many games happening too. I'm bringing 10 to our Thanksgiving, which is amazing. It's so much fun, but it is not a holiday in that sense. It is not restful or relaxing.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. It also sounds like you wouldn't be able to eat everything just by default because people aren't making dishes for 28 people. The expectation is people are eating their
We managed it. We've managed it. I mean, it's definitely every single thing that gets brought has to come in one of those 30-inch aluminum steel trays.
Yeah.
So everybody who's making something and bringing it is bringing it in that.
It's a lot of casseroles, I imagine.
Sort of. I mean, it's all the traditional stuff is there. There's just a ton of it. Yeah. And sometimes there's 2 different kinds of corn, 2 different kinds of mac and cheese, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Or stuffing.
I think the clear answer here is that you guys either have to alternate and either swap or alternate and both go to each other's Thanksgiving together.
Ooh.
But I actually like the full family swap idea. You have to swap and
I just spend a day as Preston.
Yeah, you have to be Preston for Thanksgiving and he's got to be Daniel for Thanksgiving.
They're going to ask you to play the piano and sing Frank Sinatra songs. So how long do you think it would take for you to get that together?
I'll crush a Frank Sinatra song.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this
all right, baby.
feels like what he would do anyway.
When Drafted hits it big and we can afford to hire camera crews, we will do this. And
Yes.
we'll film both ends of it, make a big YouTube video out of it. So we'll put it behind the Patreon wall. So we get in on the ground floor, patrons.
We did have in college, we had a foreign exchange student who came and played Ultimate Frisbee at Alabama, the team that I was on. And he was not doing anything for Thanksgiving. And I was like, come on. Come on to the Thompson family Thanksgiving. And he came. It was amazing. Everybody's asking him questions. And so he was just so fun and awesome. And he went back and started like telling people stories about that. And like his perception of Thanksgiving was just turns out to be just like incorrect. Like everybody else was like, oh, so like, what'd you guys do? And he's like, well, there were all these activities and stuff. Like, oh. And everybody started looking at me like, what did you do to him? So yeah, I do think it would be a bit of a jarring experience, but you're welcome to come, Dan. The only problem is you'd have to miss your family Thanksgiving. So I'll see if they can move it to like December 8th or something. And then you can come.
Perfect. My family would love to have you for our Thanksgiving for sure. Keith, what's your third pick here? We got a little sidetracked after your table mate selection.
We did. Well, that's okay because I think I've pretty much zeroed in on where I'm going to go here. And I'm going to, again, be the first in on a new category. I'll take traditions, and I'm going to take watching football. Yeah. I don't know if like it really has to be football. I know there are some people who are pretty disenchanted with the NFL and football for separate reasons. But I'm used to watching the Lions and the Cowboys and making fun of them in their annual years. So I guess we won't be making fun of the Lions as much as we usually do anymore.
No, they're the best team in the NFC.
My wife's family is like steeped in football, multiple football coaches. There's
NFL coaches, by the way, folks.
There's Super Bowl rings in the family. Let's say that.
Wow.
So like,
what?
Watching football at the house is like definitely a part of the experience for them. And certainly it was for me in my family, but I also think you avoid some of the pitfalls of some of the other potential picks. There are some challenges that come with at least two of these other picks that I think you avoid with watching football, but it's more interesting than the parade, which honestly is pretty boring. So I think watching football for a pick and tradition.
My mom's not gonna be happy with you.
Sorry,
no, my mom neither. But I think Keith is objectively correct.
You just lost the mom vote, Keith. That our most engaged voting demographic on this show.
Oh, my mom. I don't think cares that much about the parade, but I know she doesn't like watching football.
Yeah, honestly, the tricky thing with football, the last time that I had Thanksgiving at not my parents' house, we went to a bigger Thanksgiving with my dad's immediate family up in Illinois. And this was, I think it either would have been late Trump administration or early Biden administration. It was like within the realm, like shortly after the time of like taking knees and stuff. And so I had to hear some uncles' loud opinions about how they didn't watch football anymore, which was tough. I was like,
oh, that's tough.
Yeah. Just let me watch the dang game, man. Please.
It's usually pretty good at avoiding that kind of thing.
We can still be able to
That's like
football.
Why it's a great pastime is like sort of everybody can engage at their own level and all come around and have a separate thing that they're all doing together. But yeah, it's not.
That's how torn we are as a country now. We can't even just sit down and watch football on Thanksgiving anymore. It's tough. This is big for me, Keith, though. If I can't watch football, I don't even care if the game is terrible, and a lot of the times it is, because the Lions are usually terrible, and sometimes when they're not, the Cowboys are also terrible. But now we get like the third game, like the night game, which feels perfect. It's like after my parents go to bed, and it's like full of food, but I'm not ready to go to bed yet. I'm just going to lay on the couch and watch another football game. So yeah, for me, this is my top tradition as well. This, I think, is mostly my fault, and I always fall into this as my strategy with these drafts, and maybe it's a losing strategy. I tend to go like for second picks to avoid the last pick, but we've just let Keith get the number one thing in 3 categories, which maybe is bad.
I don't know that it's number one in 3 categories, but oh wait.
I mean, it was the first pick in 3 categories.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't felt like any of them were bad picks. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
All right, Preston, where are you going?
Well, I'm not going to dip into the only untouched category here, which is party foul, which, by the way, is based on entirely true stories. All 4 of these have happened on separate years. I don't think all 4 of them happened on like the same year. That would be crazy, but that's possible. I'm going to go right back into the tradition category here. And again, I think this is such a unique experience thing, but we're getting into the part of the draft now where like my strategy is gone and just my gut has now overtaken. And I'm going to do playing family pickup football, which I can see you put your cursor on before I even said it. So well done to you, Dan.
Your setup made it pretty obvious, I think.
Well, the thing is, like, the reason this works for me is, again, there's 28 people there. So like there is enough for this to be fun, and you've got like the two cousins that are sisters sort of like covering each other.
You have like special teams. You have
we got field goal specialists. Yeah. Well, we've got gunners there. We've got some football guys in the family. I mean, what this like, I'm saying playing family pickup football here. This could also mean what it meant a lot when I was growing up, which is like all of the cousins go stand in a pile and they're playing whatever that game is called, jackpot, basically, where you throw the ball up into the pile and whoever gets it gets whatever points were called. That's usually what it is. There have been times where actual scrimmages have happened and it gets very competitive. We did one in the snow in my grandfather's front yard. It was people started throwing ice at each other. That was a problem. But no, this is like a classic family tradition thing. This is something that if I go to my family Thanksgiving and I leave and this didn't happen, I'm a little bit like, oh man, like that's just like such a hallmark thing for my family.
Yeah, I mean, even me at my smaller Thanksgivings with just like my uncle and my dad and maybe like the neighbor kid or something, there's still something just so special about, like while you're waiting for the food to be finished cooking in the kitchen, you go out, toss the pigskin around. I don't know what it is, but yeah, even two versus two touch football in the front yard on Thanksgiving just has a beautiful Americana kind of touch to it,
And here's the thing, family, if you're listening to this, we're not too cool for this. This needs to get back to happening.
Oh, you haven't done this lately.
Well, it gets weird because like we got to the point in our lives where like we started bringing significant others, and then we thought like all the shit we did was weird. So we, we all had to like sort of get around that somehow. And everybody's showing up and they're like wearing really nice things, which like, I like that about my family is like, we like to dress up and everybody's showing like a little bit of personality with what they're wearing. And like, but that does make football pretty hard.
Just don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's hey family, let's just all collectively give up at the same time and just give in to playing football.
Yeah, you can play in the nice clothes or just bring a change of clothes for the football.
Well, you hit that age where at big family gatherings, you're starting to like cosplay as an adult, right? And you're like, oh, I threw away those childish things like football. I'm here with the adults drinking my Cabernet. And like, no, shut up. This isn't fun. Let's go play football.
That doesn't like a big appeal of having a big group for Thanksgiving. Were you going to say something, Keith?
I would just say that this was one of the ones that I figured to be next up on the block, but I also think, comes with some risk. Whenever you get people competing, we've all seen families, things can get real heated, sometimes overheated. Plus, you get a chance of Uncle Injury. Jeff popping something here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
everybody's pretty old now. So this isn't like it used to be. Everybody's
not risk averse
hitting that age. No,
I do like a little healthy competition. Just some games. You don't have to necessarily play football necessarily, but I do think it's nice to have like the family get together and you do something a little fun. Yeah,
the classic Thanksgiving thing for my family now has become code names. In part because people can enter and exit whenever they sort of feel like it. So they're going to be like two giant teams with like little core teams and people are leaving and coming back and stuff. And that works out great.
I think Codenames is already one that can be a tough one for my blood pressure.
Ooh.
I think playing with that many people would really take a toll on me.
Well, it's great because if I'm the clue giver, I give my clue and I literally leave. Like I leave the room and I come back in like 10 minutes. I'm like, did you guys figure it out yet?
My family tradition is kumite, so.
Nice.
What's kumite?
It's a joke. It's blood sport. Have you ever seen the movie Bloodsport?
Oh,
It's
I have not, but
a ritual tournament battle to the death. So
that sounds like fun. Sign me up for that.
It's like a Hunger Games, basically. Yeah. But with just Keith's family, apparently.
Yeah.
All right. I have a question for my pick in the third round here.
Okay.
Under desserts, we have key lime pie. Is that locked in as key lime pie, or can it be like some other regional specific pie?
No, I think it's specifically key lime pie because I think key lime pie is weirdly antithetical to Thanksgiving. And it's part of the reason it's on this list is I don't think it's a great option, but it is a dessert. You did actually, like if you were the person in charge of bringing dessert for Thanksgiving and you brought a key lime pie, that is the only thing people are thinking about for the next like 4 hours.
I mean, maybe I'm just colored by my Floridian upbringing, but it doesn't feel like it would be weird to me.
It's just it feels so non-traditional. You know what I mean?
I think he's right.
You're getting a store-bought turkey.
That is not.
But
that is not that non-traditional. There are lots of families.
There's do you want me to Google when the most store-bought turkeys are sold during the year? I would venture to guess.
I honestly haven't even feel like I've even heard of a store-bought turkey.
Pull up to Publix and find out that around Thanksgiving. Ask how many turkey orders they have. You're going to find out a lot of people get the Publix turkey.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
It's also for when Dad accidentally burns the turkey, somebody's got to run out and go grab one. Pretend like he made it. That's probably a big sales driver.
All right. Well, I don't know where to go then. I guess I'll go. It's just tough because the only category that I can dip first into is literally all bad things.
Yeah, but you could take the least bad thing.
Yeah.
But they do sort of seem to be all varying levels of bad.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and go with my table mates, and I'll go aunts and uncles.
You left me with the two ends of the spectrum, and I think that's smart.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think there are enough people out there that have cool aunts and uncles that like aunts and uncles is the best group for them. Like, yes, there's risk here that you have the uncles who, want to talk about kneeling in football, or say something, unnecessarily political for no fucking reason. But, for every one of them, maybe you have a couple cool aunts who make it worthwhile. That's my hope.
This would probably be my preferred seating, I think. Because again, it falls into that thing of like, I see my cousins throughout the year in varying gatherings and things, and we're pretty close. And we'll have spent the entire rest of the day together. So like this is the sweet spot for me. These are the folks that I don't get to see very often and I want to check in on and all that. So I think this is good.
Keith, any thoughts? Do you just hate your aunts and uncles or what?
Just avoiding the
put it on air.
I think are the clear two worst categories. So smart play in my mind.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Or two worst picks in this category.
That does bring us to the halfway point of the Thanksgiving Day draft. Here are the teams so far. Keith has watching football as his tradition. He has cousins as his table mates, and he has traditional nostalgic family spot as his location. Preston has family pickup football as his tradition. Homemade side to store-bought pre-made turkey as his meal style, and classic homemade pie options as a dessert. And then I have splurgy getaway destination as my location, the hired-in chef as my meal style, and then my aunts and uncles as my table mates. We're going to take a halftime breather. Be back with the second half of the Thanksgiving Day draft in just a bit. Hey gang, it's that time once again to promote our Patreon. Thank you so much to everyone who supports us there already. I'm talking to you, Lauren, KP3, Lisa, Tanuki, Kelsey, Chai, Lexi, Tim, Andrew, Tyler, Benjamin, Adriax, Cody, Tim, Bobby, MC, and Sarah. Thank you all so much for the love and support. It goes so far. And thank you for all of our free members over there. Yes, you can follow for free. You guys get early access to episodes, and just getting our numbers up over there is a huge deal. So free supporters, we love you guys too. Remember, you get so many perks for being a paid member though. You get extra content every other week that only you get to see. You get constant discount codes to the merch shop. It's a great deal. We really try our best to make it worth your while. So if you're not on the Patreon already, consider checking it out, see what each tier brings you, and even if you just end up following for free, we'd appreciate that so much. All right, let's get back to the episode. Welcome back for the second half of the Thanksgiving Day Draftegories draft. I have the first pick of the fourth round, and after much deliberation, I think I am going to dip into the party foul category here.
I'm very curious what's going to be your pick here.
Yeah. What's the best one of these?
I think that the best one of these is Aunt Arlene spills red wine on the couch.
Crazy.
Now, my thought here is this is no one in my family's couch.
This is very interesting.
That's
For
where
you.
my
This
head
works
is at.
out very well. Wow.
Yeah.
Well-
and I think worst case scenario, we have to pay for it to be super cleaned or whatever.
But the point is, you don't have to deal with it right then.
Right. We don't.
It's a
at all.
tomorrow problem.
We also
You've just made the worst face about that.
we also, I think there's a good chance with it being someone else's couch. I think there's a good chance to get away with just flipping that cushion over and it's never even found.
Oh boy.
So that's where I'm going. I think like for clarity here, if you aren't seeing the categories and you'll, because you're not watching on YouTube, you will see them, you'll hear them eventually. But the other options are Grandpa says something wildly insensitive about a cousin. So we just don't need the drama. Uncle Jeff pops something else. We don't need any medical emergencies. That just is going to detract. We're going to have to drive to a hospital in a city that none of us live in, presumably. And then favorite side runs out before I get some. Hell no, I'm not. There's no way I'm dealing with that when it's a chef-made dinner. So obviously, while not ideal, I mean, the whole party fouls category is a bunch of things that are not ideal. In my specific situation, this very clearly to me rings out as the least bad.
I mean, it seems like the least bad for you.
Yeah.
I mean, where are the ethical standards these days?
Whoa,
Because-
we're just flipping the couch cushions over.
Well,
Right.
being honest, where are the ethical standards of having Airbnbs?
It's a very good point. Like, yeah, so they're gonna call you and be like, "Hey, I noticed you flipped the cushion and you spent word on wine on it." And you're just like, "Well, housing should be a human right. So how about you just f off?"
Right. Exactly.
That's an interesting play. Okay.
I'm wondering if Preston has said that all these things have actually happened, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering if Preston's going to be too married to the actual
Outcome.
what happened in his
Yeah.
exact situation.
What
Yes.
did happen?
Yes.
Brian?
Indeed.
Untether himself from those.
No, I mean we were hosting this year. I don't know. Must have been
We
19
being
or
your
20.
parents or you and Lauren?
Yeah. No, my parents. I'm sorry. Yeah, I still think in that sense. My side of the family was hosting, and Arlene, listen, when the sisters get together, that's a late night.
Yeah.
I've gone up at like 7 a.m. to go get breakfast the next day with the cousins, and they are still at it. It's insane. It's ridiculous. And yeah, just some red wine got spilled on the pure white couch.
This is why I don't have a pure white couch, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think my mother, as she does, just very bravely took the "hey, this is a tomorrow problem" route and just went, deal with it later.
Yeah,
And
see, not a
I
big
think
deal.
we did. Yeah, not a big deal. Wasn't a
Yeah,
not a
but
big deal.
now you're impacting your seating setup. What if you got a lot of people? Suddenly you're limiting your seating, and I'm not sure that I follow with Daniel's assertion like, oh, but it's somebody else's couch. As a person who, like, I don't know, thinks about the feelings of other people, I think I feel worse messing up somebody else's couch than I do my own.
The
which
kids
is
call
like,
that an empath, Keith.
No. Come on. We're not going into someone's lived-in home here.
What?
We're going into
I mean, you're going into somebody's own, like somebody does
No,
own
no,
that
no.
space.
Someone owns the house, but they're in these nice, swanky Airbnbs.
I don't think you get to repaint this
approximately-
as you going to Jeff Bezos' mountain home.
I'm not going to
You're
Jeff
well, fuck
Bezos'
him.
mountain home. Brett, okay, when you go to a nice Airbnb, how many of those places do you think are lived in by the people who own them? I think the number is very close to zero.
Like as a full-time house, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a lot. Yes, not a lot.
I don't
That's
know,
what
man. I feel bad spilling on somebody else's stuff, especially if it's
I
nice
do
stuff.
too.
Hell no.
Yeah.
It's you're sticking with capitalism, frankly. If you don't spill red wine on an Airbnb couch, capitalism wins. Okay.
Just bring a full bottle next time.
All right, Preston, where are you going with your fourth round pick?
I'm gonna do party foul as well, and I think you guys are gonna say this is the worst one, but I think I have to go with my heart here. I'm taking your favorite side runs out before you can get.
That's
some.
insane. That's absolutely
Because
insanity.
listen, at least that's just me. If I can compartmentalize that event and put it into the back of my head, everyone else is still having a good time. The other two affect the entire vibe of the evening. There's no like great way for the group to get over that at that point. At least this one is just me. It's just my personal experience, and I'll get over it.
So you're just throwing yourself on the grenade for the whole party right now.
That is exactly what I'm doing.
It's admirable.
Preston, there are 27 other people at your traditional Thanksgiving. The mathematical odds that isn't somebody else's favorite side are just not on your side here.
Maybe there was enough for 27 people in Preston.
Listen, that's what the prompt says. It doesn't say everybody doesn't get some or half the people don't get some. It says you can't get some. And that's what I'm taking it to mean is you can't get some.
I guess this is I said that I cared about other people's feelings, but I guess not enough to let them have some of my favorite stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I want to clarify. Keith only cares about your feelings if you're a stranger to him. If your family get in the back of the line, I'm getting my favorite side, bitch.
Yeah. I like this did happen. Like this happened to me. And Keith is correct that statistically, I'm sure there were a couple other people too that were like, oh no, this is out or whatever. But like I so immediately forgot about it because of all the other stuff going on and everybody was having such a great time. Like it ruins that moment and it ruins that 20-minute window where you can't eat it. But then
it would ruin my whole meal, I think.
What would it ruin your whole day?
I mean,
because some of these other things might they might ruin the whole day.
I mean, I need that. I need some mac and cheese, bro. I need it.
For me, it's the cranberry sauce. If I don't get any cranberry sauce, I'm losing my mind.
And this is certainly aided by me going to 2 Thanksgivings.
Because
I'll just get it on Saturday. I'll just get it on Saturday.
Yeah, we're removing that context. You don't get it on day 2.
What was the side the time it ran out? Oh, this is weird. Okay, so I don't know that it was necessarily my favorite, but very specific green beans that my mother makes. I didn't get any of those. And they were like, it hurt a little bit because I was like, this is my mom. Like everybody should be first in line for whatever their mom brought, right? Like you should be able to cut to get that thing. And we didn't get it. They have like lemon juice, olive oil, salt, pepper, Parmesan cheese, and roasted almonds. And they're so freaking good, guys. It's like crack.
I will say, in theory, you should be able to get your mom's green beans really anytime, right?
Well, she doesn't live that close to me.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
She's not putting in that kind of time. She only makes it once a year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, are you kidding? Not all of us get a Marie, Dan.
I think we need to normalize having the things we like about Thanksgiving dinner more often than just Thanksgiving.
But then would we like them the same amount, though?
Yeah.
Or isn't the uniqueness part of the
There's another podcaster I listen to who like really hates Thanksgiving food. And he like goes on a rant about how it's not that good and it's totally overrated. And he's like, if people like this food so much, you would eat it more than once a year. That's his like one of the cruxes of his argument.
It is a tough thing. Like all the other times you have stuffing during the year.
What about anything else that's just so like special and decadent or expensive they only have once a year? It's very fallible logic.
I mean, stuffing expensive.
I'm not saying I necessarily agree with him, but you know,
and that person should feel bad for having that opinion.
Oh.
There are too many people who try too hard to have these contradictory opinions. This is a glaring example of such a case.
Hey, pal, think about the show you're on right now. I want you to do some self-examination.
Listen, I genuinely feel everything I've ever said on this show.
I think this guy would make a great guest if he were ever to somehow stumble into this show. Adam Levitan.
Okay.
Adam Levitan, wherever he is.
Oh, why do I know that name?
He's a fantasy football person, so maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, Keith, you got back-to-back picks.
Yeah, and basically at this point, almost every category you both have picked in, more or less. It's like I don't actually have that many different options. I feel like
this is the downside of dipping into picking first 3 times. Yeah,
but I'm feeling pretty comfortable about where I'm at, mostly. So I just have to figure out like which of these things. Like I know. Obviously, meal style and party foul. I'm going to get whatever I want from those. Mm-hmm. I already have table mates, location, tradition.
Keith, let me ask you before you give your picks here. You do have a choice of dessert. I've not picked my dessert yet.
That's true.
What do you think about the 4th option in these categories? I feel like it drastically changes these picks from being not interesting really at all to a little interesting at least.
No, I think it's a smart play because even when I pick, I'm picking something. I'm not just taking
you have to make a judgment call.
Not interesting to listen to.
I don't know why it took us so long to think of this, but I'm glad we did.
Mm-hmm. So I definitely think 4 is much better than 3.
Well, and we had the handshake debacle where like you can stick a particular player with the worst option and there's just no coming back from it, which is ending a date by having a firm handshake.
Yeah, listen, we got some great moments of content from that format. So I'm not.
Yeah, but we interfered with the integrity of the game, and that's really what's important here.
All right, so Keith, where are you going? Now that we all got that squared away.
Okay, so I'm gonna take. Sorry, Uncle Jeff, but it's a light pop.
Geez.
You know, it's just my back. You know, it's not like we're going to the hospital. We didn't pop a knee here or something, a ventricle. Like it's just like I need to sit down. Which that's fine, Uncle Jeff. We can take a break. You're probably trying too hard anyway. Like I don't know why you thought it was high school again, but
you were making it uncomfortable for all of us.
What are you doing out here running routes, Jeff?
Yeah.
What are you doing running a stop and go?
Jeff's over here.
Can't even throw it that far.
Uncle Jeff's pulling a hip drop on Grandma after she catches a 9-yarder. You know, she's reaching for the sticks, and Uncle Jeff's over here.
Blew her up.
No.
And he's the one that got hurt.
He's chop blocking Grandma. Come on, Jeff.
Listen, he learned to play football the old-fashioned way. Damn it! All right, but when you can really hit people,
Dominic and Jeff over here just.
Preston, what happened to Uncle Jeff? Did he have to go to the hospital?
Well, first let me just say the comedy is enhanced by me knowing this person and Keith just absolutely dogging him. He did not have to go to the hospital. It was very much a probably I think it was a back thing, and it was like, listen, by the end of it, it probably worked out great for him because he gets the central spot on the couch, right in front of the TV. People are bringing him food. People are bringing him drinks, and it's like
so we suddenly didn't fake this injury.
The only thing becomes like the football game like immediately has to stop because you can't keep going after that.
You don't play through it.
Yeah, and where's your D-line pressure going to come from now that Jeff?
Yeah, now that Jeff's on the bench. Yeah.
The offense is just going to run wild. But no, you just have to sort of immediately stop, and it just takes like a while for the energy to get back going again. You have that awkward moment where somebody's walking him back into the house, and everybody's like, "What happened?" It was like, it was and it's like just a whole thing. But it ends up being okay long term. I do think it's certainly preferred over the other option here, which is Grandpa says something wildly insensitive about a cousin. The only argument I had for that one is presumably everybody knew it was coming. So there's this,
but you never know which cousin is going to be said about.
No, but everybody knew it was coming, so everybody sort of like bonds around the fact that it happened. You know what I mean? No. I actually think like this weirdly didn't come from my grandpa. It came from a grandpa that I think came to that one Thanksgiving and never came back. So like this is one that I didn't have to deal with hardly at all, and I was very thankful for that. I had like very progressive grandparents that wouldn't make comments like that. But we had one stray grandpa come in one time and just like throw a drive-by shot at somebody and then leave, and you're like, man, what happened?
You never taking a stray grandpa. It never works out.
I think that grandpa insensitive option is my least favorite option on the entire board. So I definitely wanted to avoid that, but I knew that I could, so no problem. And I'm going back to back here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm making the wrong choice here. I obviously could have taken this last pick, but I'm not sure exactly what the right call is. So I'm gonna step out on the limb, and I'm gonna take homemade brownies from the dessert category. I'll note.
Oh yeah.
Whoopsies.
Whoopsies.
So in my desert, I'll have homemade brownies. Homemade brownies are great.
This is the one item you get to bring into the desert after Thanksgiving to see how long you can survive.
I'm pretty sure.
Why did you say something before? Why did you wait till the fifth round to point it out?
I didn't notice till now. I literally we were just talking about what we're going to do for Thanksgiving this year, and I was like, I often feel like it's not my family. You know, I am from non-blood related, so I'm like. I'm like, I want to cook something, but I never am asked to. So I'm like, oh, I'm probably not going to get asked.
You got to bring something supplemental. You can't also
so
be
I
the
bring
one
like
who
a
brought
dip.
green beans. That's a power move, and you can't be
I
doing
bring
that.
like a dip or maybe a dessert or something.
Totally.
But my wife is like, oh, I'm going to make homemade brownies. And I was like, awesome. I have no problem with this. I will say, I think I'm less attached to pie than the average person, especially for someone who likes dessert. I do not really care for pumpkin pie. But pie in general is just not necessarily like something that I feel is really important to me. So a delicious dessert is way better. So I in fact would, if you gave me the choice between having like pies in general and it was just me picking, I would pick the brownies. So I'm going to take the brownies. I know I'm losing something for the group with the pie, but I also think the other two options are worse for Daniel. So even though I also actually, I like key lime pie a lot. Like I think key lime pie is really good. I'd be happy to have that, but I think Daniel and the audience may not be. And definitely the pumpkin pie. It literally says just one, so you are running tight on supplies. So I think to me, I'm just trying to saddle Daniel with the weaker option by taking the brownies, and I hope that I made the right choice in doing that.
I'll wait to retort until it's my pick.
Okay,
I was also debating taking the brownies. But not for my personal choice, just because for perception, I think. Especially since I have a homemade chef. Like whichever I take, I was to take the homemade thing and spin it with the homemade chef thing. But it's tough. It's tough. I do feel like this was a category where I regret maybe not going earlier because there does feel like a big drop off from like collection of homemade traditional pies to brownies or whichever you think is the second best option here. But Keith, I was worried for you. It's the way you were setting everything up. I thought you were going to leave dessert on the table and just like literally leave the one thing, like the one spot where your choice really mattered. And pass Daniel, you didn't do that. Daniel, so congratulations.
You know me very well. Would you ever think I would be a person to leave a dessert on the table? Absolutely not. I have a notorious sweet tooth.
You and I both. That was one of the things we first bonded over, I think, as Ulti World team members was we both kind of always had to have our candy with us to make it through the day.
I'm still known for it, so I take pride in it.
Preston, where are you going with your penultimate selection?
How old are the kids at the kids table? This is a big question. I'm gonna need a group consensus.
Young enough, I think young enough that you clearly do not belong there.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get it. I think you're gonna get like, I can give you a max, which is probably like 13, but it could be anything below that. So I'm not gonna give you a firm answer because you got to take the risk. That is the inherent risk with the kids table right now.
Okay, I am taking the kids table over the grandparents, and I am explicitly taking like 8, 9, 10 kids. Older than that, and they're now saying things that are mean. They're hurtful, and I don't understand what they mean. Like skibbity whatever.
Skibbity toilet.
Don't get it.
Skibbity but like Ohio Riz.
Kids at that perfect age of like 7, 8, 9, they're funny. They're very funny. And like you get to be the sort of like one adult who sort of like took that for the team sort of, but it can be fun. I've done it at like several Thanksgivings. It's a great time to go sit with the kids.
I don't go ahead. Keith.
Go ahead. I don't think I'm not a host, but I don't think you get to dictate what selection you get. Like, I can't be like,
you told me anything under 13. That's why I asked before I took it.
No, but
if it was explicitly 13-year-olds, I'm not taking that.
You have to take the whole group because you're just showing up to the table and you might get like, I don't get to be like Uncle Jeff pop something, toss in the pigskin, but he popped his
but it actually made him stronger.
So yeah, or he popped it throwing like a 90-yard pass and an NFL scout sees him and is like, oh, you're going, like, I don't get to dictate the terms.
Okay, fine. But like, okay, I still think if we're calling kids table 13 and under, I still think what I'm saying is largely true.
Okay.
Like 12, 13, 14, 15 is like problem range for sure. But they're not all going to be 13. It's like, who's having these babies? So there's going to be a range. And kids are funny. They're entertaining. You don't get to, develop that relationship very often. So like, that's fun.
Preston, I hope this does not come across as an insult.
You get to slip them their first beer. That's also a great tradition too.
Okay, cut that. That was so unnecessary.
Cut that. The
That
verb
was such
slip.
I'm not
the right
cutting
choice.
it.
The
I'm not
verb
cutting
slip
it.
was just not the right choice.
That was.
I'm not
such
cutting it.
unnecessary
It's
addition.
clearly a joke,
Oh my
family.
God.
I'm not.
My
I'm
God.
not cutting it.
You're gonna get us sued. I was gonna say, don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like being at the kids' table is going to be a lot less bad for you than probably many others. Just your personality type, that feels like a situation that
Why
suits
would
you
I
well.
take that the wrong way?
I-
I think I'm
because-
taking that great.
Okay,
He's
good.
saying you have the maturity of a 13 and under person. Is what he's getting at.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's not how I chose to take it,
Yeah,
but
no,
I
that's-
understand.
People could take it that way, but that's obviously not how I mean it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I also think you are rare in that case. I think for most people,
You think it's going to be a bummer for most people?
I think it's
Yeah.
going to be exhausting. You're going to feel like you're a babysitter at Thanksgiving, which is going to suck.
But worse than grandparents' table? Because that I think is a bigger challenge. Like they can't even hear you. Like that's the biggest issue.
Honestly, what I find comical is the idea that like we're all here to be with family, and we've relegated all of our grandparents to their own.
They're in the
tables, so we
garage.
don't have to interact with any of them. we're probably at our grandparents' house. You know, but, like the reason we're all here and exist and all together as a family is because of our grandparents.
It's maybe not the
to
it's maybe not the grandparents' table, but you are flanked. Like on the 12-seater, you are flanked left and right somehow. I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
Yeah, I think I would take that over kids' days.
Really?
But,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think so. But I do buy for you that it would be a fun time. Like I think you would be able to put a fun spin on it. Depending on the kids.
He's saying that he believes you're aging backwards like Benjamin Button. Is what he's trying to say.
I've always felt that way about Preston. Preston looked like an 80-year-old when I met him, so. All right. It's time for my final two selections here. I got to write Preston's pick in for the table mates. Did I write Keith's? Yes, I did. Okay. All right. So my categories that I have left are my tradition. And what else? Oh, my dessert, of course.
Mm-hmm. Your dessert.
You didn't write in my party
dessert.
foul, I think. Didn't I pick?
Oh, no.
Yeah, just so you're not misled for some reason.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think
And
it
you
should
took.
matter.
And you
I took Uncle Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Poor Uncle Jeff.
Pour one out for Uncle Jeff. Uncle Jeff sounds kind of nice. Like he, like you said, he had people waiting on him.
He's very nice.
He got out of having to help with the dishes, which is a big, like negative for me on Thanksgiving.
He's definitely from that spot on the couch using it to show you pictures of his dog that he already posted on Facebook and asking if you've seen it already.
Nice. I'm picturing Uncle Jeff as Spike from Little Giants. This is not.
It's so weird that you said what you did, because my Uncle Jeff is actually in Dominican Sue. It's like really strange, but it's just how the family worked out. He's great.
All right, so for my dessert, I am going to go key lime pie here. It's going to be homemade by my in-home hired chef. I grant you that it's not a traditional Thanksgiving pie, but it's still a really good pie. I really like key lime pie. It's one of my mom's specialties. I know I always talk about my mom's cooking because she's a great cook, and so is my dad. It
deserves to be talked about.
Yeah, and if she made key lime pie for Thanksgiving, I would not bat an eye. That entire pie would get eaten probably before the other pies. And this is not my mom's key lime pie, probably because we're gonna, if we have a chef, the chef's gonna make it. And this would not be my setting, but I could picture a setting where people, choose their destination location as being on a pristine beach in Florida at this grand beach house. And in that setting, I think it really kind of works.
It's a regional delight that you've now partaken in from your splurgy getaway. Yeah.
Exactly.
I will say that Daniel has also pitched to me that I need to, as someone who has said I enjoy key lime pie quite a bit, has said to me I need to eat his mom's key lime pie. So,
yeah, how do you think it'll do in the postal service, Dan?
If we could, like, if you guys are willing to pay for like those, refrigerated, insulated shipping things, probably pretty well.
I think I'm willing to pay whatever it takes.
Well, you could also.
It's for a good cause.
I could do that. Yeah,
it is for a good cause.
It's for a
good charity thing.
Charity is me getting to eat some pie.
All right, and then This is actually interesting to me because I really don't, like on paper, out of context, I'm for sure watching the parade here. I don't love the Thanksgiving Day parade. I could definitely do without it. But one thing we do get excited about, my family gets excited about, is at the very end of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, Santa Claus comes. And that feels like the official start of the Christmas season, which is my very favorite time of year. So that is always kind of cool. Like when Santa Claus concludes the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, it's like, it's Christmas time. But it feels like it could be potentially really cool to help in the kitchen with a big time chef in the kitchen, maybe learn some things. No. So I think it depends like what helping is here. Like, do I really have to prepare a dish, or do I just kind of get to hang out with
a little bit? You're just asking like, what can I do? That kind of thing.
Okay. I see you haven't watched The Bear, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Sounds stressful as hell, my guy. Yeah. What are you doing? Like that dude has a routine. He has a plan. He doesn't need to placate your weird little, cosplaying here.
When your home chef is over here screaming about how you messed up the mise en place, like you're gonna feel differently about this option.
I had a roux going for the mac and cheese, but somebody thought an extra cocktail was more important than stirring.
I will say I don't think that kind of chef is going to be hired at home chef, but I hear your point. I will take really just for the paper. I think within the specific context of my Thanksgiving that I do think that has merit. But just for the pure, I'm sure that there are listeners that do enjoy the Thanksgiving parade, and there is like genuine, real tradition with that.
You'll get some
big
votes,
for my mom. Yeah. And big family thing that like my mom it wouldn't be Thanksgiving to my mom if we didn't watch Thanksgiving Day parade. So that will be my final pick for my Thanksgiving Day.
It's big for us too, coming up for sure. My growing up tradition was we made the stuffing, and my mother would have us watch the parade and just tear apart pieces of bread for like 3 hours. It's like all 4 of us just sitting there ripping bread as it happened. I will say, like, if you're watching it in the big family setting, which it doesn't sound like you are in your traditional Thanksgiving, it's rife with unwelcome commentary. It's so funny. Every single year it happens on cue. Like the 5th performer that comes up in the parade, my dad goes, I'm not sure she's actually singing. Every year, guys. Every year. And I'm like, I gotta explain to him every single time. I think you might be right.
Man. Is it a bit? Are you getting chewed up by a bit here?
I don't think I'm getting trolled by my dad. I don't think he's got that kind of planning in his system, but maybe. But it happens every single time.
Oh, Gary.
Gary.
Gotta love Gary.
Mm-hmm. I think you've done okay here. The scene of Santa Claus at the end also does sort of kick off.
Yeah, it kicked.
I didn't even know that happens. Didn't even know.
Really?
At the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen?
Watched all of it at the end.
Have you ever seen Miracle on 34th Street?
No, I don't think so.
Really? Yeah, that's how A Miracle on 34th Street starts. The main character works for Macy's and she's in charge of the parade, and then the guy who's supposed to be Santa Claus gets too drunk and can't be Santa Claus. So then Kris Kringle steps in, and that's kind of what starts the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's a classic. You need to watch Miracle on 34th Street.
And then the SpongeBob float falls on top of them.
Yeah, in 1940 whatever when the movie came out, the SpongeBob float. But for real, you should watch Miracle on 34th Street.
Are you sure that's not the one with the guy from Home Improvement? Is that?
You're thinking of the Santa Claus.
Is it the one where they go to 4 Christmases?
They do go to 4 Christmases, yeah.
Is the one with the Terminator?
You would love it, Preston. Yes, it's all of those. It's all of them.
Noted.
All right, Preston, what's your final pick? You have to go location here.
All right, well, I'm going to go with my surprise celebrity guest, and I'm taking Tom Cruise. I just feel like he'd be the real life of the party. Okay, no, location, let's think.
These are both bad.
They're both bad. But I have to go head dumb heart smart here. I have to think like Preston. I gotta take Grandma's house. She's a hoarder.
Yeah.
I think the event space I'm putting in my head is sort of just like a hotel ballroom.
No personality, very
No.
sterile. Yeah.
None. I'm not going to try and claim that it's some sort of like lodge that you can rent out for weddings, and actually it's more like what Daniel got with his pick. No, what I had in mind when I wrote it was very much like a canvas that you would go to it seems some sort of like the future of AI technology conference in.
It's
and
like
it
your
just feels
business
very
center
bad.
in the hotel draft.
It is we're doing Thanksgiving in the business center. The most depressing sentence that's ever been uttered. So it's got to be grandma's house. And like, listen, everybody knows the deal with grandma's house. It's now a bonding thing. It's a shared experience with the whole family. And there's not a lot of TVs. There's not a lot of places to sit. But you know what that does? It brings people closer together, both literally and figuratively. So I think it just is a more traditional holiday. And it's one of those things that like right now you put up with it, but looking back, you'll miss those times when you were at grandma's house.
I do miss my grandma's house, but she was never a hoarder. So
yeah, that she's a hoarder clause does a lot of work to make
it does a lot to make it very rough.
I'm picturing finding like a box of cereal from like 1968 in the corner, like like maybe something you saw something move in the corner. You're like, was that a real like living thing, or was that like a cousin? Like, what
was
is
it, a shadow or what?
Yeah. But the picture
is anybody else sitting on an unexploded landmine? That's really weird.
The picture also you painted of the event space is pretty bleak, though.
Yeah, right. It's devoid of all life and character.
I will say, Preston, this also changes the context of your kids' table, because now your kids' table is probably just like a stack of newspapers.
It's an actual kids' height table.
It's a little Tykes bench table. Yes,
tough scene.
I did have an actual Thanksgiving one time at a like little Tykes, one of those weird little tables. It's made out, you could like, so light it will just blow away in a stiff wind. One of those, and it was great. I had a great time.
All right, Keith, it's time for the final pick. You've got to go meal style.
Yeah, what do you guys think I'm going to pick here?
I feel like you got to go unique family potluck.
This should be the new tradition.
I was thinking the other one, actually.
Really? Maybe this should be the new tradition. I've already locked in my pick, so I'm not going to change it based on what you guys say.
I mean,
I think for sure unique family potluck. I think that's what a lot of people's Thanksgiving is.
Well, now you don't have to make an argument if you don't want, because if you don't want to feel like you're potentially swaying me, you don't have to. But
you said your pick's locked in. I trust
it.
You.
Is.
I feel like with the way Keith has described his Thanksgiving, actually unique family potluck seems like it would go well. Seems like he has some people that are like very thoughtful about it.
You're going to have some bad dishes in there, and you maybe have to feel like you have to be polite and have a little bit of them. But there's bound to be some good ones in there too. And as we've said on this episode, the most important thing about Thanksgiving is the sides. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I got to go unique family. But the other option is so bad: frozen sides, deep fried turkey. Like none of that is getting.
Well, they're not frozen when you eat them, by the way.
Yeah, I got that.
I was just making sure we were clear. Yeah,
we're not having popsicles for our sides. No, I get that. Unique family sides, like there's some potential for something really cool to happen here. I'm assuming that this means that basically like you can't have any traditional sides, so like I have to lose some of the things that are my favorite parts of Thanksgiving. So I get that. But somebody brings in like some Mexican street corn or whatever, and it's delicious like hell. Let's have it. Let's go. Like
you're certainly envisioning best case scenario there, which sounds great. Yeah.
You also may get some ambrosia, whatever the old like
fruit ambrosia.
Gelatin. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, that like.
Shit's good though, actually.
Who knows what you're gonna get? Or somebody who's never cooked before is experimenting with it, or they saw a TikTok viral trend and they're like, oh, I made a grilled cheese with peanut butter and jelly in it. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, who knows? But it'll be an adventure.
I'm definitely picturing at least a few jelly mold dishes for sure.
Yeah,
I'm into it. I think that there's some chances this turns out well. And it'll add to the fun. Like it is part of its own part of the fun. It will be the unique. If you send out your party invite and it was like, okay, everybody, I need you to bring a non-Thanksgiving food, like, and this is what you get. Yeah, that'll be fun too. So I'll definitely take this option.
I think your pitch sells it very well. I think if that is the way it goes, where like it's like, hey, we're trying something different this year. Everybody brings something that you think, is your thing, and it like not even close to being Thanksgiving related. It can be or whatever. I think what I was more imagining, and I'm not going to try and say that this is different than what I wrote because it's obviously not, but like it's more of like It is a traditional Thanksgiving meal, except one wild card ingredient has been thrown into every single dish that's on the table. Like, we made green bean casserole with cream of mushroom soup in it. Like,
I'm picturing, I'm picturing like a Top Chef kind of challenge where it's like you have to make a Thanksgiving traditional side, but you have to change one of the ingredients for this randomly chosen thing.
Yeah, pineapple needs to be in it or something like that.
Isn't cream of mushroom soup a very traditional ingredient in green bean?
Yes, in green bean casserole. That was a bad example. I just hate it so much that it was a poor example.
I thought you were gonna pull out your Cheez-It crackers on top of. Isn't that green beans? That's
the only part of it that's good, though, is the problem. So that wild card ingredient is actually a net positive. Thankfully, whoever, again, it's so hard to tell who brings what to this giant family Thanksgiving, but whoever was bringing that has clearly died because it's not coming. It's not coming anymore.
Well, there you have it, folks. What better note to end our Thanksgiving Day draft
on the end of life?
Death in the family. Here are the teams.
Much like life must end, so must this draft.
So must this draft. Keith has watching football as his tradition. He has a unique family potluck as his meal style, with homemade brownies for dessert. He's got cousins at his table. He has his Uncle Jeff is popping something during the tossing of the pigskin. And then, of course, traditional nostalgic family spot for Keith. Very nice. Preston, his tradition, playing family pickup football. My brain is so tired. I can't read anymore.
It's going away.
He is having a homemade side to store-bought pre-made turkey with classic homemade pie options for dessert. He is sitting at the kids' table. That'll be fun for him. Unfortunately for him, though, his favorite side ran out before we could get some. That's tough. And then he's at Grandma's house. She's a hoarder. I end up with watching the parade is my tradition. I have a hired-in chef to cook all of our dishes, including my dessert of key lime pie. I am sitting with my aunts and uncles. Pretty cool, pretty fun. Aunt Arlene spills red wine on the couch, which is at a splurgy getaway destination within the contiguous U.S. This has been a long draft, but we will take one quick break to wrap it all up. We'll be right back to conclude this Thanksgiving Day draft episode in just a minute. Hey guys, thanks so much for sticking with us through our summer break. We are back, and to celebrate, we'd like to announce our newest merch line, the Don't Look at Me When I'm Reading line. We've got a t-shirt, we've got a hat, we've got a mug, we've got a sweater, of course inspired by the famous moment the last time we had Lauren on the show. Also like to announce a lot of price changes on the merch shop, including some stuff that's cheaper than it was before. So if you've not checked out the merch shop, maybe a good time to do so. It's a great way to support the show, in addition to all the ways you already do. If you're looking for more ways to do that, we would love you. Link to the shop in the show notes, of course. Let's get back to the episode. Okay, we are back. This has been definitely a longer draft, so I think I just want to do a quick recap here. What were the drafts that stuck out? I can't remember. Oh, it was a John Boy content of some kind, I think, where I think it was John Boy. It was something I saw on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it was John Boy. They asked instead yes, it was John Boy, because they were doing a draft of predicting MLB free agent landing spots. You get like points if you get the team right and the years right and stuff. And they went around and had other people pick their favorite pick from another person's draft. And since it's the holidays,
and I
think, we all could use a little bit of, extra kindness around these parts right now. What was everyone's other, like, your best pick that wasn't your pick? I know this is a little tougher with this draft because we were working from a set list, but that's what I want everyone's pick. Let's give each other some props here.
I think it's hard to look past just the first overall pick because I think it changes the nature of everything else. I mean, the traditional nostalgic family spot from Keith, I think I maybe wrote that a little too overpowered. Like there needed to be a better way to say that. But like, it's one of those things where even with my team, which I think is a great team here, I don't know that it will feel like Thanksgiving if we're not at the place that we're always at. But we're at Grandma's house, so maybe it will. But I think that was it's
nice job.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Listen, guys, it's staying in. It's the holidays. I'm not editing shit. This is a protest,
and we are thankful for that. We are so grateful.
I'm not editing shit. Okay, wait. I think it's very difficult with these that now have 4 picks for each category. There's a lot on the board. Mm-hmm. And there's no sense of like what your first overall pick should be. So I think it's pretty tough, and I think he nailed it.
Yeah, it was a good first pick. For me, I think I would go with Preston getting the classic homemade pie options. That was the pick that I felt most where maybe I made a mistake and not grabbing something when I had the chance to. Keith definitely a good first pick, but basically with the first pick, you're just trying not to blow it. You know what I mean? And he didn't blow it. But my regret was not having the pie, and something that I could have taken and didn't. And I think Preston did a nice job taking it so early.
I think that in general, I have trouble imagining us not ending up with very similar selections, even if we all switch places. I feel like the draft was kind of like mostly agreed upon what was better than everything else. One thing that stood out to me, I think Daniel did a great job selling the hired-in chef. I think that came around to look a lot better than I would have initially read it as. So I think that was a good sell job, and that's a good pick.
Thank you.
It really only works in that combination that he has with the splurgy rental house. Like I would find it so hard to have the hired-in chef at Grandma's house where she's a hoarder and like none of the kitchen appliances are working. It would just feel really bad. So yeah, it worked out quite well.
Did we make the right choices on everything that we did not pick? Are we unanimous on the things that we left behind?
Helping in the kitchen is your tradition. Seems like the nice thing to do, but nobody actually wants to do it, right?
Well, yeah. I think we, and the show is running long, so I didn't go in on this, but I think that helping in the kitchen has an upside that none of the others in that category does, in that I think you actually could like bond while doing it. And I think you generally are not going to do that during these other things. You could a little bit during pick up football, but it's not like you're having a lot of conversation. But if you've been in the kitchen, it's usually a small group of people who are doing a lot of the helping. There's a lot of traffic, people coming in and out. It could be a little intense, but then there'll be these moments of kind of like peace. And, people are just in there having conversations, sometimes lengthy, somewhat private conversations. And so it's like, you can actually bond during that experience. And, it could be nice if you have somebody who's a good cook in the family to learn some stuff. So I could see a certain Americana vibe to being in the kitchen with your someone else in your family and learning about them and cooking with them.
But once again, Keith, you have seen The Bear. So it's not good.
No, they're
explicitly the Thanksgiving episode of The Bear is very bad for being in the kitchen.
Very bad, which is not what I was referencing when I referenced The Bear previously, but I have been thinking about it during this episode.
But I think it's more that I'm not obviously I can cook things that I like to eat for sure. But whenever I'm cooking for another group of people, I do get very, very anxious because I'm not always sure if the thing that I like will be the things that other people like. And like, even if I was just helping, even if I was just stirring the roux, I'd be like, oh God. And it would just like drive me a little bit crazy.
The only other category that I think maybe there could have been debate on would be the table mates. Do we think grandparents being left off was the right call?
I think you're kind of splitting hairs between the two. I think they're both risky, but not necessarily bad. Like, so some people's experience might be good with either of those groups. So I don't think there was a major difference between the two, but you could probably make an individual argument one way or the other.
I think drafter, like the drafting base, if I had to guess, I would say majority of people would probably err on the side of kids.
I think so too. Yeah.
Grandparents may be more sweet, but kids more fun. So I guess it probably depends on where you fall on that. Guys, who picked the best Thanksgiving? If you're taking your own, of course, who would get second place?
I don't think the party fouls ended up meaning as much as I was maybe hoping they were.
Yeah, I think because they're all just kind of bad, but none of them are horrendous.
Yeah.
So they feel like maybe a bit of a wash.
So I'm looking at.
Well, actually, I take that back. Your party foul is bad. Your party foul is not good.
I think you guys are way overreacting to that, but okay, fine, whatever.
You almost tricked me there.
I think what could have made it legitimately bad is like your favorite side like doesn't actually make it to the dinner. Like that would be like legitimately a huge vibe killer. Like the person who was supposed to bring mac and cheese like got stuck at the airport or something. I don't know. But I do think like the combo of the traditional nostalgic family spot at the cousins table and the unique family potluck, I kind of got sold on too, even though I thought in my own head that was going to be so bad. I think Keith just like has nice faith in his family members. So I think I'm probably picking Keith's team. The question is, am I picking him over my own team? I don't think so. Like if food is the most important thing to you on that day, then I think I've just got it.
But then you also miss out on your favorite side, which is your biggest selling point.
But all of it's so good. The rest of it is so good that it's fine.
All right.
I don't hold a particular side in that much higher regard than all the other sides. I have a favorite, but it's not so much more my favorite than everything else.
I definitely have like a big favorite. It would be really tough for me if I didn't.
What is your favorite?
Cranberry sauce, homemade cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
It's so good. And this goes to the point that Keith brought up, or that Adam Levitan brought up, that like my favorite things at Thanksgiving, I do have multiple times. Like basically Thanksgiving starts the holiday season for us, and we have cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving. We have it like for one of our Christmas time dinners, and we have it for New Year's as well. It's really fucking good.
I do think this is a lot worse if your favorite side is the thing you only have at Thanksgiving, which is certainly not for me.
No, it's certainly not the only thing I have, but it is definitely my favorite thing.
Or I meant the thing you only get to eat at that Thanksgiving. So like if your favorite thing is gravy, you don't get gravy at other points throughout the year a lot. Then if the gravy you don't get, you feel really bad. But like if I'm just hunting for mac and cheese, I can have a good mac and cheese throughout the year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, maybe you'll get some of your favorite side when you're sitting at the kids' table and little Arya and Noah start a food fight and throw some of theirs.
They throw it at my face?
Yeah,
just open my mouth, baby. Yeah.
There you go. Maybe you'll get some. I think as much as we also just kind of went through and said that mostly we left the worst options on the table, like we got it right. I also think generally the person who went in first got the first pick right. Like basically nobody screwed up. And so I think that's led to pretty even teams. So I would take mine first. And I think Daniel did such a good job. Like the one thing that he did that I feel like I didn't do with mine was like kind of tie his together in some logical way. So I think that I would take Daniel second, but like, I think all three are pretty good. So I don't feel like there's a big difference between them, but I would take mine first and Daniel second and Preston.
Yeah. It definitely does not feel like there's an obvious winner here. So I would be surprised if the vote doesn't end up being very close, maybe even, a tie or something. I am very much a person of tradition. So honestly, taking my own team here would be tough. I do think like if I was able to like, know fully going on board, like, okay, next year's Thanksgiving is going to be, this special thing. And so you got to brace yourself for that. I think I could really have fun with it. But if it was like sprung on me last minute or something like, oh, we're not having Thanksgiving.
You had all these expectations getting up of, I get to go home soon and I get to see everybody. And then it's suddenly like, nope, we're going to Cabo or whatever. And you're like,
that would be really hard. That would be really, really hard.
And who's paying, Dan? Who's paying?
Grandma won the lottery.
Question.
And she's treating.
Grandma signed up for Elon's $1 million giveaway.
That's too real, Keith, please. You know what? Honestly, I think. Let's see. Okay, Preston picked me or Keith second, right? And Keith picked me second. And I'm gonna make it all even, Steven. I'm gonna take Preston second here, but it is very, very close. Honestly, I do think it's a little silly to that your number one pick is. I don't even really care about turkey, but the sides are phenomenal. But then also you're subtracting your number one side.
You know what?
But honestly, the pies are such a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like such a big thing. I think that's probably true for a lot of people, that more so than anything you have at Thanksgiving dinner is the Thanksgiving dessert, and getting to have like 3 pies for dessert, because when else do you get to do that, and your team is the only one that offers that option, Preston. So I think I'm going to give you a second place, but I agree with everyone. I think it's all very, very even. Steven here, very interested to see how the vote goes. Keith, thank you so much for joining, friend. It's always great having you on the program. Do you have any soapboxy things you'd like to say on your soapbox?
Man, dark times these days.
Oh boy.
Get off. Here's my. I don't have anything to plug right now. I mean, obviously, check out ultraworld.com if you like Ultimate. Don't really bother to check me out on Twitter anymore, because to hell with it. Get off social media for a little while. Whatever you do, unless you're checking out the drafted social media to put in your vote or to share it.
I mean, we're barely on social media anymore.
We don't even really post anymore. Like we're easing that road for people. We're trying to get them off.
I promise. I say this as someone who like is steeped in internet culture. I've been like, I feel like I was raised on the internet. It is bad right now. It is bad. Get off there for a little while. Talk to some real human beings. That's my soapbox.
Yeah, definitely get off Twitter. Twitter is no longer on my phone. I
just deleted off my phone like this week. I was like, every time I go on there, I'm less happy when I'm done. So I
am on Blue Sky. We'll get drafted up on Blue Sky. Blue Sky seems okay for now. But yeah, no, to piggyback here on Keith, join the Discord. That is really the best place to interact with us and the show. So that is a good social media spot, I have to say.
Hey, Dan, I'm so sorry, but it says on my phone now that RFK bought Blue Sky. So, and I'm not editing the episode. So do you want to just like say anything? You want to recontextualize it somehow?
No, I'll just listen. Okay. I'll go to the grave with it. I don't care at this point.
All right.
But Keith, thank you so much for coming on. I am very thankful to have you as a friend and to have you as a friend of the pod. Always amazing having you on. So thank you so much. And very thrilled to have you on for a Draftegories episode. Did not realize we had not had you on for one of those. How did it feel? Or do you feel like you like this style of draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was a little straightforward in this case. I don't know if maybe we need 5 options a category, or we need an uneven number of categories. I think we had 6, so I feel like everybody basically got the best in 2 categories. So like, I don't know, maybe you need, or maybe you need more. Some of them were so obviously the best one. I don't know, but
what we could do is outsource the options. Maybe we just come up with categories and then have. I know one Mr. Patrick Segemiller who would probably relish in such a task.
Yeah,
maybe that could mix things up.
And there's definitely items that would work in a 3 category with 8 items like per category type thing, where like you could just like try and dominate a particular facet and block some people out. But yeah, you're right. In this one, it did go a little straightforward. But
I may not always go like that.
I will say, Keith, to push back, you had 3 number 1 picks. I only had 1. So.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't 2 across the board. So there was a differing strategy in there. But yeah, thanks so much. Preston, do you have any Thanksgiving sentiments you'd like to get off your chest here as we conclude the program? I don't keep calling it a program.
It's a program. It's that's what you call things in the holiday time. Like, come watch the old style animated Rudolph program. We're running this
program with an ME at the end
of the Judy Garland show. Programs.
Program.
I'm very thankful for this show. I'm very thankful for the Drafted Discord. It's very nice. It is a wonderful alternative to social media, where like you can go into the pretty nature pictures part of the Drafted Discord and have a much better experience than trying to open Instagram and get that sort of dopamine hit of like, oh, I didn't know Daniel was there. That's so cool. Like, that's all I really want. And I would highly recommend that everybody jump in there and help us, as we did this week, recommend ideas that we can draft.
Yeah. Shout out Discord for this very draft. But yeah, Preston, I'm thankful for you as well. Thank you so much for being my friend, for co-hosting the show with me. It's been a great year. We do have one more episode coming up. I'll also try to get some new merch and maybe some Black Friday sales up in time. It's definitely cutting it close, but we can get some stuff up real quick.
I definitely want to extend my thanks to having me on the show. I don't know how long. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like every time I come on, you mention that we were the original trio that spawned the idea for the show with our initial on the road drafts. So I don't know how long has it been since then? Since the original?
It's been 18 years. Isn't that crazy?
I think that would have been
nuts.
2019 that we did that road trip. I want to say.
I think so. That sounds.
And then we started the podcast in 2020.
Ago.
I know it really does. It feels forever ago. But yeah, what's great to me is that we've been doing this for 5 freaking seasons. 5 seasons.
It's incredible.
Yeah. What who would have thunk? But
we do have one feels like it's going to be the last.
And on that note, thank you all so much for listening. We will have another Christmas special for you guys in about a month. Hope you all have a wonderful holiday. And thanks. Yeah, we're truly very thankful for you guys. The support for the show has honestly been crazy for 5 years now. So thank you so much. We will talk to you guys Christmas time.
Thank you guys for not taking advantage of the fact that I'm not editing this show. Could have said some like truly heinous shit and just given me more work to do for no reason.
That reflects poorly on us, you know.
That's a good point. It's true.